Joining us live is the Council college football correspondent, Kevin Ballard. Can we get a round of applause for Kevin?
Yes.
We'll make it official. Oh, oh. So it's been a big week in college sports. College football down to the end of the season, the beginning of the college basketball season. At this point in the college basketball season, we're getting a lot of really nice matchups, interconference matchups between some high-level teams, which is always fun to see. The new rankings are out for week 4, and there are a couple of changes, of course. The new number 1 team in the nation is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Okay. Gonzaga had a great week where they beat the previous number 1 team, the Duke Blue Devils. And give me 1 second, I'm going to grab the box score. That was a 89-87 win by Gonzaga, down to the final seconds. Did either of you get a chance to see this game at all?
Yes, I did.
Sure did, Joe.
I saw the main part. I'll let Kevin know what he thinks.
All right, let's dig into it. Just some quick stats. R.J. Barrett for the Blue Devils had 23 points. However, that was on 9 of 25 shooting, which is quite alarming. He also played 39 minutes. 7 rebounds and 3 assists, 1 steal and 1 block along with that. Zion Williamson had 22 points, 8 out of 17 from the field, 10 rebounds. Check this out. This is what's beautiful about this kid. 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 4 blocks, only 1 personal foul, 37 minutes, 22 points. Cam Reddish, 25 points, only 3 of 9 shooting. So he's pretty much the odd man out right now. Only 9 field goals.
He was in foul trouble.
Yeah.
He was in foul trouble.
Okay. He went 3 for 9, 2 of 4 from 3. All right. 2 rebounds, 4 turnovers. Marquise Bolden, only 15 minutes, had 6 points, 5 rebounds. Trey Jones actually, was 7 of 14, 17 points, and 2 assists. On the Gonzaga side, the story for Gonzaga is Rui Hachimura. In 37 minutes, he scored 20 points on 7 of 14 shooting, only 5 of 9 from the free throw line, but he also chipped in with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. He's a very impressive prospect. He's actually Japanese. Gonzaga does a fantastic job in bringing international players through their program. And Hachimura has been playing on the Japan national team already for the past couple of years, and this is really his last stop before the NBA. But like I said, he scored 20 for Gonzaga. Zach Norvell Jr. had 18 on 6 of 13 shooting. Another number that sticks out to me is Gonzaga shot 52% from the field, and Duke shot 43% for the field. So let's start with Kevin. What were your thoughts about this game? Were you shocked that Duke lost? And what type of lessons can be taken from this game from the Duke side and the Gonzaga side?
Well, I tell you, I was not shocked that Duke lost this game. If you remember the last time I joined you all on radio, maybe 2 weeks ago, one of the things I said was that I was a little disappointed that Duke and Kansas didn't get a chance to play at the end of that first championship tournament, because it would have been good to see those young freshman phenoms against a more senior level Kansas team, because I felt like they would give them all they could handle. And that's exactly what happened against Gonzaga. Gonzaga, Mark Few, always had a good team out there in the Pacific Northwest. He stocked, like you said, with a lot of international talent. They're very disciplined, play good defense, play team ball. And similar to the Kentucky team, where they bring in a lot of freshman phenoms, in the beginning of the season, they're learning that college game. And it takes a while for them to kind of gel and get together. But by the end of the season, right before March Madness and the conference tournament, they started to pick up steam and get the road. And I think that's what happened with Duke in this game. They hadn't played a team that was disciplined, a seasoned team, a well-coached team like a Gonzaga, and they got welcomed to NCAA college basketball at its best.
Joe, did you see it?
I did. I saw the key parts of the game. The thing that stood out to me, I thought that Duke was resilient because they were down 16 points with 15 minutes to go. And it was pretty impressive the way they were able to kind of get back into the game. But the thing that I thought was most interesting was I was slightly disappointed in the way that Duke finished the game, because they had every opportunity to get back into that game. When it was like a little bit of time left, they had at least 5 or 6 attempts to take the lead. And the thing that happened, I saw a little bit of a breakdown of what they were doing offensively. Normally Coach K's teams always execute well down the stretch, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was just because there were people in the stands or a lot of scouts out there or what, but Barrett took a lot of shots at the end of the game. I mean, he took a 3, he took a couple of ill-advised shots in the lane that were blocked and sent back in his lap. And what stood out was the fact that Zion Williamson did not touch the ball with a couple minutes left to play in the game, which I feel like he's a mismatch every time you get on the floor. And I also feel like as a player, there's a point where you have to realize, all right, I might not have it. I'm not hot. Let me see if I can get somebody else involved. So they had chances. They didn't pull it out. At the end of the day, I think this is the best thing for them, because I don't think it's good for a team to go undefeated and have that pressure of trying to win every single game. And then also, it's not easy for a team to learn when you keep winning. It's hard for somebody to listen to the coach and like, Coach, we undefeated. We got to do the stuff you're talking about. So now they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. I think at the end of the day, it will make them better. But they got all they can handle, man. And that's the way it's going to be, because Duke they're no joke. So people are going to bring their A game every time they see them.
I always thought it was ludicrous when people were talking about undefeated, because that made no sense to me, because I can't see how you're going to win on the road in the ACC. I don't care who you are. You're not just going to be traveling around the ACC going undefeated on the road. Not happening. They have 4 or 5 more losses coming. All right, so I know they're the ESPN flavor of the week, and all the ESPN commentators are acting like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's really not. It's just really 3 elite freshmen that are not going to be able to deal with a upperclassman team, which is what Gonzaga is. And you see it in the field goal percentage, 43 to 53. That tells you everything. So the athleticism makes up for that, because they got additional shots from rebounds and, run-outs and things like that. And a matter of fact, the exact number is Duke had 72 shots, Gonzaga 65. And if Gonzaga made free throws, it wouldn't have even been close, because they shot 11 of 19 from the free throw line, which is below 60%.
Especially down the stretch.
Right.
In the last 2 or 3 minutes, how Coach K will foul you and make you hit the shot so his team can get back in the game. They missed a lot of shots, especially the big man that actually played a very good game, the center that you talked about, and he missed a lot of shots too.
Right.
But they still got the win.
Right. So Gonzaga's the new number 1. And what are their chances of staying there, actually? Because when you see a team that hits number one that's not in the Power Five, that's the chance to go undefeated.
True. That's very true.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's in a good position playing out in that conference that they're in.
I think it's the Mountain West.
They really don't have any competition out there. They do have games upcoming against number 6 Tennessee. They also played North Carolina in Chapel Hill mid-December, December 15th. So those were the 2 games that they where they get tested. But outside of that, they don't play any other ranked teams on the schedule.
Right. Yeah, I think we need to go on the undefeated watch from this point for Gonzaga.
Are you willing to go out on a limb, Joey, and say anything about Gonzaga maybe doing something? You've been doing pretty good this season so far.
You know what?
On that limb.
Wow. I would have to look at the schedule, but
okay.
And it's undefeated is so hard. It's so hard in college basketball to go undefeated. People shouldn't even say that. You know what I mean? When you see somebody go undefeated, you're supposed to like take both of your hands and slap your head and have your mouth wide open like you can't believe it. Undefeated is not a thing in college basketball. But again, Gonzaga stays loaded and they stay in, and they're in a conference where, other than their rival St. Mary's, and every year there will be another team that's loaded with upperclassmen that floats up to the top of the conference, but there's still no match for Gonzaga. So I'm not going to go out on a limb yet, but there's a very, very good chance that they can go undefeated. And honestly, the only thing that matters is a number 1 seed, and I think it's fair to say they are going to have a number 1 seed.
That's what it's looking like.
Yep. With Gonzaga at number 1, number 2 is Kansas, who won the NIT, the preseason NIT championship, including a 87-81 win over Tennessee. Currently number 6th ranked Tennessee. Kansas, we know for sure that they're going to win the Big 12. That's just a matter of science. I don't know if they've ever lost the Big 12. And they have a couple of really interesting prospects. One of my favorites being Dedrick Lawson. But what are your feelings about Kansas, Kev, and their outlook on the season?
I like Kansas a lot. Kansas, has a really good team, veteran team. The competition, when you look at the Big 12, I mean, you have other teams that can pose a challenge for them. You have Kansas State as ranked number 12, Texas at number 17, and also Texas Tech at number 20. So there are a couple teams that can compete with them, but at the end of the year, I think that Kansas comes out of the Big 12 as the Big 12 champion.
Joe, any thoughts on Kansas?
Not a lot. I do know that they're a top tier team.
Okay,
and,
definitely
they coach very well. They're always there in the mix.
Set your alert, because you definitely got to have to watch them, especially because of Lawson. They're going to be on the radar because of this kid. He's under the radar right now in terms of who's getting the hype in college basketball. And it's probably because ESPN is only talking about Duke, but he's a special player with a special skill set, and it's going to be interesting to see how he moves up the draft charts also. Following Gonzaga and Kansas in the top 25 is Duke at number 3, Virginia at number 4, which is another reason Duke was not going to go undefeated. Nevada at number 5. Tennessee, number 6. And Tennessee's had a couple of really good matchups They're 4-1. They lost to Kentucky, one of their rivals. That's not Kentucky. That's Kansas. They lost to Kansas. They're not one of their rivals. They lost to Kansas, not Kentucky. We actually just spoke about that game when we were talking about Kansas. But Tennessee's right there. Michigan is next, number 7, currently 6-0. Auburn, number 8. Michigan State, number 9. Kentucky, number 10. Carolina, 12. Kansas State, Carolina, 11. Kansas State, 12. Virginia Tech, 13. 14 for Iowa, 15 for Florida State. Ohio State, 16. Then Texas, Oregon, Purdue, and Texas Tech round out the top 20. Buffalo, Wisconsin, Villanova, Maryland, and Mississippi State are from 21 to 25. How tough is the ACC going to be this year? Kevin and Joe, either one.
Kevin, you take this one.
Yeah, I think the ACC, from top to bottom, is the strongest conference out there this year. You look at some of the teams in the ACC, they're all very competitive. They're all tough teams, well-coached teams. One of the teams that I think will be a surprise in the ACC, Joey, is close to both of you guys, and that's the Maryland Terps. My brother-in-law, Akeem Turner, that's his team, and I know that he's looking forward to a big season with Maryland this year, and I think they're going to be able to go far with that team that they have.
Yeah, they're actually they've actually shifted to the Big Ten, which makes no sense, but they did that. And
oh, that's right. They are. I'm sorry.
Right. No. Don't even worry about it. But they do look good, and they're at number 25 right now. And strangely enough, we talked about Rutgers a couple of weeks ago going to the Big Ten and how that was foolish. In terms of basketball, Maryland in the Big Ten causes a lot of problems. Because before you could really rely on the Big Ten being Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State, with a couple of other teams having good seasons every third, every fourth year or so. But Maryland puts a monkey wrench in that. Tell me this. Auburn in the SEC. Is it a foregone conclusion that Kentucky wins the SEC, or do they actually have some legit competition now with Auburn and a couple of other teams? Mississippi State is ranked high. I feel like Alabama with Avery Johnson is always is going to be one of those teams for the foreseeable future, whether they're on the radar or not. They will always be tough. How are you feeling about the SEC, Kev?
The SEC is going to be, I think this year, the SEC is anybody's game. Kentucky usually would come in just more dominant than everybody else, but I think that there's a lot of parity this year in the SEC. In addition to Auburn and a good Avery Johnson coach Bama team, you've also got Tennessee that's ranked really high in the SEC. And last year's South Carolina team was a very gritty team and played really tough and went pretty far in the SEC tournament. So I think it's going to be anybody's game in the SEC this year. So I'm looking forward to a fun season.
All right. I just want to remind our viewers and listeners, leave a comment. Let us know how you feel about Gonzaga over Duke, about Kansas's outlook on the season, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten in college basketball. Leave a comment below. We would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you like this video if you're watching the video on YouTube, and also subscribe to the channel. Click on the notification so that you know when we upload new content to YouTube. And of course, like it, share it, follow on Instagram, council_sports talk, the number 2, Joe's. Follow on Twitter at Council Talk. Follow Kevin on Twitter at NCAA Thomas. That is at NCAA Thomas. Please give him a follow.